Welcome to the Yellow Jacket Experience. This is our Hall of Fame edition, and I am joined by one of our Hall of Fame inductees. We'll be going in with the class of 2022. He is Maurice Calenda. He's a student athlete that I had the privilege of watching compete when I was here at AIC as a student myself. Mo, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. It's good to see you again, and obviously to see you going into the Hall of Fame as somebody who I got to watch compete. It's an awesome feeling. But let's begin at the beginning. How did you get your start in track and field, specifically doing the jumps? Because that's obviously not something that everybody does.
My start in track and field actually came from, I was a football player as a freshman, my first year of organized sports. And then some of the people on the team were like, hey, you should try track. So I tried it. Now the jumps, it's something different. Actually, a teammate of mine had got hurt, and at the same day of a meet, and our coach just asked me, "Hey, do you want to try this? I need somebody to replace him." Obviously, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't even know where to take off from. I didn't even know how many steps it took to even get to the board. But I did it that day. I ended up jumping something around 20 feet, and from there, it's been history.
So entirely just by accident.
Entirely by accident. Like I was not supposed to be a jumper whatsoever.
And yet here you are. So, you had great success in the long jump and the triple jump. The long jump sort of explains itself. It's just how far can you jump? But I think people who watch the triple jump are kind of like, what's going on here? So maybe can you explain that event a little bit?
Sure. So obviously there's 3 jumps you get. The takeoff counts as the first jump. Then the switch to your opposite leg counts as the second. And then obviously the jump into the sand counts as your third. So it's a hop, a step, and a jump, essentially. Obviously it's more technically sound where you're not really just hitting the ground and jumping. You have to actually jump in each phase that you do. And if you don't, then obviously you either get hurt, have knee pain, or you just won't go as far. So it's definitely, like you said, a little more structured than the long jump is.
So you joined an AIC program that was in its infancy. It was 3 years old at the time. What made you decide that AIC was the right place for you?
I think it's the familiarity I had with Coach Leo Mayo at the time. Coach Mayo, sorry. He was my actual high school coach when I was a junior. And he left when I was a senior to, take the helm at AIC. And he reached out to me my senior year, asked me if I wanted to come up for a visit. It was probably late August, and it came down to AIC and Southern. But I think because I knew Mayo a little bit better than any other coach that I have actually went on visits with, and I knew his style, how he coaches, I think that's what led me to make the choice. Not to mention having friends who already attended the school, and Lloyd Brown and Andrew Brown. So now I was a lot more comfortable in being around people that I actually know. So it was kind of a no-brainer once I had to choose between the 2 schools.
And it came quick success for you, for the team. Your second year, I think it was the team's 4th year of existence. You lead the program to second place at the NE10 Outdoor Championship. What made the team so successful so fast?
I think one thing that helped us is what I tried to do is help everyone buy in to a new system or a new team. Like, obviously we had to start at the bottom. When I came in, not a lot of points were being scored. So when my class finally came in, we just had to buy into what Coach Mayo's vision was. We obviously didn't have a track. We didn't have a lot of equipment. We practiced in the gym or going long runs to Blunt Park and run on the gravel track. But I think once everyone bought into his system, once everyone believed that we were good enough to compete with the other schools who are more established within the NE10, that's what helped us, achieve second place in the conference. And, to where it is now, where we're one of the best teams in the conference and obviously nationally ranked.
Is there a moment that you can point to maybe that was the turning of the corner to get us onto that track to being one of the elite teams in the NE10? Something you can remember where you said, this is going to be what pushes us, or maybe you look back at and say, this is what did it?
Yes. My freshman year, it was the Northeast 10 Indoor Championship. And I came second to, I can't remember his name. It was a jumper from Southern Connecticut. And I actually PR'd that day. And I'm like, so for me and the teams, obviously seeing me do that, they were like, oh, okay. But I think there's more than one turning point for us, because that was for me, and everybody else started believing in themselves. I think the team realized how good we could be with actually our sophomore year when we swept the long jump, going 1, 2, 3. My friend, my roommate, and obviously my oldest friend, who I've known since elementary school, Alex Joseph, won. Then Alan Bush, who was a football player, came in second, and myself was third. And seeing me not be so upset that I lost to two people who weren't necessarily jumpers, I think that gave the team what they needed, saying, hey, if they can do it, so can we, and we can compete with everybody else. And I think that actually was the turning point for the team.
You won 7 NE10 championships. My math is correct. You were all New England as well. What made the difference for you getting to that level and being able to win conference titles in multiple events like that?
I think I just learned how to be a student of the game, or just learned how to be an athlete. But before you get good and you start winning championships, you never know who you are. But once I figured out that I had to take summer training seriously, be more committed to the weight room, be more committed to my craft. That's what helped me propel to a higher standard than I ever had for myself, even coming from a winning program like in high school at Bloomfield High. But once I learned how to, be an athlete and do the small things that athletes are supposed to do to make themselves be successful, that's when I started taking off and winning, 7 NE10 championships, being on New England. I mean, because when you get to college, you're not just facing people with like low standards. These people are actually just as good as you or even better. So now you just have to up your game. And once you learn those small things that you have to do, then anyone could be better.
You got to the point of being good enough to qualify for nationals, and you earned All-American status as a senior twice, indoor once and outdoor once, in triple jump and the long jump. Take us back through on those 2 days and what it was like competing at that level and being able to finish top 5 in the country.
Oh man, those were probably some of the toughest days or toughest competitions I've ever had. Other than obviously going to Penn Readers and some of the other where you see D1 athletes, especially being a Division II athlete. Those days where you got to get in there, you got to warm up. They take you from the warm areas to go to a bullpen area. Now you're just waiting to get to the track. So, and I just remember being upset because I didn't do as good as the long jump indoor that I wanted to do, where I missed the finals. So triple jump had to be my saving grace, and I wasn't even really considered a triple jumper at the time. I just remember going all out every single jump and eventually being in the trainer's room because I had the ice bath, because that's how sore I was. But the national championships, when you get to that level, they bring a lot out of you because there's no holding back, and there's no more maybe the next jump. It's everything has to count. And if it doesn't count, if you don't take it seriously, then you can go home disappointed. So I was just very fortunate to end up, being on the podium with some of the most amazing athletes in Division II level.
One of those amazing athletes was a teammate of yours, Dominic Smith, that 2012 class, and he won a national title. It was AIC's first. What was it like, knowing where the program had come from, to see a teammate win it all, and especially somebody that you were with for 4 years?
Actually, Dom was my high school teammate as well.
Oh yeah, right.
So watching him win it, and just thinking about where our program came from. I mean, we went through so much. You know what I mean? Like I said, we didn't have a lot. We didn't get a track maybe until my junior year, I believe. So watching Dom excel and me coming in here, knowing that the program wasn't where we wanted to be, we always had a vision of it. We're going to put this team on the map, like no matter what happens. Like we keep working hard. We do what we got to do. This team is going to excel and go. So when Dom won it, it was just like, listen, look, everything we worked for, everything you worked for, it's here. Your vision, our vision came true. And it's good to see, because now he's not even the only national champion in school history. The track team has about 4 or 5 kids who made it to that same pinnacle. And it just goes to show you that the foundation we laid down just worked out exactly how we wanted it to.
What does it mean to you now to look back at what you guys did and to see that now, to see we had a national champion this year in the mile, to see, I think we're at almost 150 All-Americans in program history now. What does it mean to know that your group really helped to kickstart all of that?
It kind of gives you like a proud dad feeling, because when you Coach Mayo's and now Coach Logan, the office wall was bare. Had no All-American trophies on there, no trophies at all. Obviously, until we won on for second place, but you just feel satisfied because you're like, listen, we came from nothing. Like I keep saying, I know I keep repeating that, but we legit had nothing. And now like you see that everything on that wall, everything, all those trophies everybody's earned, all the kids who are getting recognition is like, wow, I kind of can't believe that we kind of started this. Like it's surreal. Like I'm just happy that what the program is doing. I wish I had more words for it, but words can't even describe how happy I am for that program and where we came from.
You brought up Coach Sharp, who's now the head coach, and he was at Southern Connecticut, and your careers actually overlapped for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Did it ever cross your mind, that somebody that you competed against might one day end up leading this program? And what is that like seeing an owl now leading this AIC program and doing it so well?
No, it never crossed my mind that could happen. I mean, we've become somewhat rivals of Southern Connecticut, so it's a little bad blood, but nothing too much, nothing malicious. But for a guy who's coming from a winning program and someone of high character such as Coach Sharp, he just filled in. He did a great job filling the shoes of Coach Mayo, like because we all know Coach Mayo had big shoes to fill when it comes to that program. So for him, I think it's just him bringing his winning mentality over to the program. And being under Coach Mayo for a year, it just helps sustain what that program should be like. And I give him all the props because, especially with the ladies on the ladies' side, winning a championship with them, that's something that I couldn't wait for that to happen for the team. So kudos to Coach Sharp because he's doing an amazing job.
Coach Mayo, of course, we can't not talk about him and what he did building the program from the ground up. Obviously, your career and everything that he did after as well. What, from your perspective as an athlete, what made Coach Mayo such a good coach?
I probably can go on days for that.
Feel free.
Coach Mayo, I mean, when we have so much history with each other, spending over maybe 7 years. And I think that we grew together. Him as a coach, me as an athlete. But one thing about him is that he's gonna push you to your limit. He's gonna push you to places that you've never been before, and it's your job to react. You know what I mean? He's not the coach. He's a loving and caring coach, but he's also a coach that demands a lot of you, and in a good way. So when he tells you something, you just have to listen and do it. Like he's an amazing distance coach. I mean, that speaks for itself. We don't even have to get into the accolades or anything else that he's done with his distance program. But what he's done helping out the sprinters and even bringing in the people that he needed. So when he doesn't know something, he goes out and figures it out, whether it be bringing in a coach in or him learning himself. So Coach Mayo is just one of those guys that you can trust in and you believe in. And once you believe in this program, it's just the sky's the limit. So high character, like I said, you have to value your word once again. And like I said, I can go on and on and on about Coach Mayo, but then this interview probably lasts about 3 hours.
I mean, listen, I could say the same thing, having worked with him for as long as I did. And you brought up that you worked with him for 7 years. So you not only as a student athlete, but also as an assistant coach here. What made you want to get into the coaching side of things? And I guess to continue to talk about Coach Mayo, what did you learn from him on that side? And how does that compare to what you learned from him as an athlete?
At first, I started off as a high school coach, not knowing too much. But then obviously Mayo, he gave me the opportunity to see everything from the college side and more important, how to actually run a program. So what I actually learned from him is how just a lot of compliance stuff. Like he took me as a GA, but he didn't treat me like a GA. He actually taught me how to be a real assistant coach. So like I wasn't just making snack runs or stuff like that. I was doing, stuff like practice schedules. I was putting in time for the NCAA to see how practice times and stuff like that. Mayo just taught me how to be more time organized as a coach, how to structure my program better as a coach, and just overall how to reach different kids in different obviously different stages in their lives, and how to just to get them and get the best out of them. So I have to give him credit for that, because without him, I wouldn't be the coach I am today, nor would I know how to write a program and sustain a program. Because obviously everything doesn't always go to plan, and he taught me that you can write something out, but it might not work out. So you got to learn how to improvise, and that's what I really learned from Coach Mayo the most.
How does, having that experience as a college athlete and as a college coach now, how do you apply that to the high school level? Does it change how you approach things, knowing what college coaches are looking for?
Yes, it absolutely does. It helps me because I can better prepare these athletes for college. So now that I've been through it and I've seen kids go through it, and I had kids that come through to obviously being a coach, I can tell them, hey, this is what coaches are looking for. This is what they want you to do, and this is how you have to approach it. So now when they're being recruited, they know how to treat it as a profession, as a business. They know how to approach coaches, how well spoken they have to be, how their training has to be, and knowing that they can't slack. So being a college coach definitely helps me get these kids more prepared for themselves for the next level.
You coached at your college alma mater. We've talked about that. You're coaching at Bloomfield High, where you went to high school too. What does it mean to you to have been able to spend the last 10 years of your life kind of paying it forward to the next generation of athletes in places that gave you that opportunity?
It means a lot, because now it just means that I'm giving back to the community that gave to me. I could obviously go some other places, but I think the connections I have here, whether it be AIC or Bloomfield, it just means a lot more to me. Like these kids who I probably watched growing up, when my little sister and my little brother were, elementary school and maybe even preschool, even lower. I get to watch them grow up and go through high school now. Like for instance, I am coaching my sister right now in high school, and some of her friends who I've known since most of their lives. Some of the kids, maybe even going up to AIC, those people who I've coached, they're amazing young adults. So for me, this is, just give them wisdom and teach them how to be better people. It just lets me know that, like you said, it comes full circle, and I was able to give back to the people, my community, the same way my community gave to me.
You bring up coaching your sister, and obviously when you were a GA here at AIC, you had to coach some people that were your teammates at one point.
Yes.
How did the experience of that, how does that help you with situations like coaching your sister and her friends, where you have to separate that relationship from your job as a coach?
It's difficult. I'm not gonna say it's easy. But it's also the good part about it. It helps them understand they can trust me, because we have been teammates, or we are family. You know who I am and how I operate. And captain the AIC to some of those teammates that you said I coached, they knew how I was a captain, and it wasn't going to change as me as a coach. The only thing changes now is that I'm now responsible for when you have to get something done. Same thing with my little sister. With my little sister, I'm your big brother. Don't get me wrong, but when we get to a meet, we got to flip that switch, and now I'm coach. And then when we're done competing, I'm back to big brother. So and at the same time, they all know I care about them, and I think that's the biggest part of it. Knowing that your coaches care, you can always get the full out of any athlete.
One of the athletes you coached in high school is somebody we're all familiar with at AIC right now, Adia Cavalier, who always is gushing about how great you were as a coach. What does it mean to you to see her wearing the uniform that you once wore, be an All-American in the event that you were an All-American here at AIC?
Mm-hmm. Oh man, Adia, it does mean a lot. I mean, just the fact that it's a I want to call it a family tie of Yellow Jackets, like her exceeding and continuing to do what I taught her. She's having the best years of her life as a Yellow Jacket compared to where she was anywhere else. She jumped in the farthest. She's All-American now, and the fact that she earned an All-American in that jersey, when she couldn't do it anywhere else, it just was like, good job. Like, this is everything we trained for. So I couldn't be more proud of her. She knows how I feel about her. She knows that, anytime she needs me, I got her. But just watching her with the Yellow Jacket jersey on, a singlet, and doing the things she's doing, couldn't be any better. I think it's almost scripted.
Yeah, it's like the sort of thing, if you sent it to Disney, they'd send it back for being too unrealistic. But here we are, and a chance for her to be an indoor and outdoor All-American too, just like you were. It's
Definitely.
unbelievable. Um, you set records here at AIC. You set records for the Northeast 10 conference. Some of those records are still standing a decade later. So
Oh,
what
really?
Yeah, you still have, I believe, the AIC record for the outdoor triple and long jump on the men's side. Um, what is it? What does it mean to you to see your name in the record books? And what does it mean to know that the program has progressed to the point that some of those records have been broken?
It means a lot to have my name in the record books because it just shows what how hard I've worked and where I wanted to get to. But seeing some athletes break some of those records, because I believe I did have the indoor record until Xavier McIntosh broke it, who I coached all the way up to the junior year. It just shows that when I set these records, I'm looking for the next group of athletes to break it. So I want to set as high as possible. So when they finally clicking and going, then now they're like, okay, I broke it. Now the next person has to break it. It just means that we're heading in the right direction. I honestly don't want any of my records to be still standing, because if they're still standing, that means we're stagnant. So now that if they're being broken, that means, all right, these kids are doing exactly what's supposed to do. They're making the program better, and they're setting high marks for our institution.
You, in addition to coaching, have the Jumps Academy. So what made you decide to turn your coaching into kind of a business, and what has that experience been like for you?
I decided to start the Jumps Academy because there are so many talented jumpers in the state of Connecticut that I know can jump. I watch them at meets. I watch some kids who tell me all the time or contact me, or maybe through Instagram, or maybe my number from one of my athletes. Hey, I don't have a coach. I don't know how to do this. So my goal was to always teach every and any kid that came to my doorstep how to properly jump. So and hopefully get them ready for the next level. Um, the experience is crazy because I've gotten kids all over Connecticut. I mean, every corner you can think of. To me, even some kids from Western Mass have decided to make the trip down to come train with me. And it's like, it just makes me grateful because now it just shows me that I'm actually doing something good for these kids, and that I'm actually doing something with this academy. It's growing bigger and bigger every year. Like my first summer of the jump, my first summer jump session, I probably had maybe 8 kids. Last summer, I had 21 jumpers show up for that month of training in the jumps. So it's getting bigger and better. Like you said, I have a hand in a lot of kids in Connecticut who mostly have all made states, and hopefully when they go to college, they'll just remember that to give back the way I did with kids that come after them, or teach their teammates things that I've taught them during our jump session to make their teammates better. Because I want the jumps in Connecticut to be elite. I want us to catch up to the rest of the nation as far as the quantity of jumpers we have, rather than just the quality.
It's certainly quality, not a question, given your career, given what you've been able to do, given Adia, as we mentioned. I guess the last question for us today is, what did it mean to you to get the call that you're being inducted to the AIC Hall of Fame?
Oh man, it meant a lot. It really did. The funny thing is, I was actually at our special education prom when I got the call. So
All right.
so I'm trying to focus on the phone call, focus on the kids at the same time. And at first I didn't believe it. I'm like, they just really called me and told me I got into the AIC Hall of Fame. Because honestly, I didn't think I've done enough to be mentioned in the same Hall of Fame as, Dominic Smith, Bademi, even Jim Calhoun, some of just the great names that are in there right now. So it took me a while to process it. And then once I got that email from Tom, I'm like, oh shoot, I really did get inducted to the Hall of Fame. So it's like you said, it's unbelievable. I didn't think the day would come. My friends did, but I didn't, because obviously I'm being hard on myself. But being a part of the Hall of Fame is just, I think, every Yellow Jacket's dream, because you don't just play sports, just be out there and just put the uniform on. You put the uniform on AIC to compete, and let everybody know that AIC is just as good as everybody else. When we step on the field, step on the ice, step on the track, step on the court with anyone, like I said, anyone. So getting that phone call to be a part of the Hall of Fame, I mean, I'm going to cherish this forever. Like, it's obviously my first Hall of Fame, but this is just something that I'm gonna cherish forever. I'm forever grateful, and like I said, thank you to AIC for everything they've done for me, because I'm not the man I am today if I don't go to that school. If I go to another school, I don't think I pan out to be the Maurice Calenda that everybody knows. So AIC is definitely has a special place in my heart.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm right with everybody else who thinks you deserve to be in there. It's like we said, seven NE10 championships, 2-time All-American, record holder, FJ Maloney Award winner. The resume is there, and you know the All-American awards that Adi has won. I think you have a hand in that. So, Mo, congratulations! Like super well deserved. Seriously, unbelievable.
Thank you so. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
That is Maurice Calenda, our 2012 2-time All-American in track and field here on the Yellow Jacket Experience. Thanks for tuning in to another episode, and keep your eyes peeled. We got plenty more coming all this summer long.